this photography thing consumed the three of us like nothing else, like that we've ever seen. Every time we got together, the only thing that we talked about was photography. It was photography, nothing else. It wasn't. There were times when the passion that I had for photography and the passion to learn this thing was like a new drug that I had found.
One of the memories that I have of my childhood was remembering that my dad used to take a lot of pictures of us. He was always documenting us. So we have a lot of pictures, growing up. And I remember I'd always look at his camera and just find it really, really interesting. So in university, towards the end of my last year in school, I studied as an optometrist. When I started thinking about the future, I couldn't see that in the picture. So it was the year of my internship, and I remember very clearly I was in a cab going to work because I was working at military hospital, and my friend Mona, she called me. She was like, Gaz, I just saw this thing on, whether it was a newspaper or a magazine or something, there's a training happening somewhere and today is the last day, it's like 5,000. I was like, what? I did not hear any of that thing. I was like, please just help me register it. And we weren't doing it to start. I said tomorrow. I said, it is definitely happening. And I remember that day I started, I finished up everything that I was doing so early. I had to tell my supervisor that I had to leave early, and I think about 1 or 2, I started rushing down. I was just so happy. And when I just entered into the class, it was just like, oh wow. So I'm really learning this thing, photography.
I got into photography when I went for my MSc. When you're traveling out and you go to a strange country and you want to document your stay, like the first thing you do is buy a camera. Okay, so that was the first thing I did. I bought one of these little point and shoot cameras. We didn't have the iPhones then or the camera phones, so you had to actually buy a proper camera. But then the thing is, I realized that I wanted more out of the photos I was taking. I wanted them looking more professional. So I found myself jumping or buying one professional camera after the other. So I bought this first camera and I wanted more out of it, and then I bought the next camera and then the next camera and then the next camera. And before you knew it, or before I knew it, I landed on my first digital camera, which was my first professional photography camera, which was the Canon, the Rebel, the T2i, the Canon 550D. And yeah, I haven't looked back since.
I used to play Scrabble a whole lot while I was younger, while I was in school. And because I used to play Scrabble so much, I used to travel a lot. And I came to Lagos for my NYSC in 2011. And during the course of my program, I was like, you know what, I need to know how to take pictures, better pictures whenever I travel. And that led me to start looking into buying a camera. That was in 2011. But eventually, in 2011, I bought a new BlackBerry phone and forgot about my quest for buying a new camera. It was a BlackBerry Touch, I think at that time, the one that could slide up. And 2 weeks after I bought this phone, it was stolen. So I went back to square one. But in 2012, towards the tail end of my youth service, I was discussing with a friend, and I think she was asking the question, so what next after youth service? Like, when you're done now, what is the next thing you're going to do? And at that point, I just told her, you know what, I really want to learn how to take pictures. I've seen this guy's work and it's just amazing. Kelechi Amadi was the one I was referring to at that point. However, I used to follow someone named Trey Ratcliffe on Facebook at that time, because Instagram was not rampant. Facebook at that time, and he was a travel photographer. So I really loved his pictures. I thought maybe eventually if I got into photography, I could travel the world like he was doing and take pictures. So I said, you know what, I really want to learn how to take better pictures. And she said, why not? Just Google it, see if they have a workshop out there, see if you can learn from somewhere. And that's exactly what I did. And immediately I did that. Something popped up, and it was like the TFESS, the Future Enterprise Support Scheme, photography cohort, and immediately I saw that one of the facilitators was Kelechi Amadi. I signed up for it immediately. I missed my first day in class because I didn't know my way around Lagos too much or too well. So I missed my first day in class, and it pained me dearly. But I joined the class the second day, and that was what kickstarted my photography career. 2 weeks after I started, or 2 weeks after I finished the program, I quit my job and I became a professional photographer, or at least started somewhere.
My name is Adeola Williams, CEO Red for Africa, a group of media companies that has birthed, superstars like Emmanuel, Aham, and several others. So it's indeed a pleasure to be able to join you on this interview. When Emmanuel and Gaz told me they were going to be celebrating 10 years of their coming together at TFESS, my heart welled up in joy.
Ten years ago, I was fortunate to meet Gazi, Aham, and Sheung at a training organized by Red Media. Sheung asked the most questions. Aham was always playing with his camera. And last but not least, Gazi, she was the most helpful student. And that meant that all three of them, they were the only three that never fell asleep.
So at the time I started, I had just my camera and my lens. And I went out with my camera and my lens. And I took pictures of, everything and anything. I have a twin brother, and he was my muse, my subject, my model, my supermodel. So every time I, buy a new speed light or I learn a new technique, I'll say, hey, come and sit here and let me try out this technique, and post on my Facebook. And my friends would see these pictures and be amazed, and they go woo wah woo wah. So to them, I was doing something they had never seen before. So one of my classmates from uni sent me a message one time. She was based in the US. She had relocated to the US. So she sent me a message saying, hey, I'm coming back to Nigeria. I'm getting married. I want you to photograph my wedding. And I was scared shitless. But we went in and we took the pictures, and half of it was good, the other half was horrible. I hope she doesn't see this interview. And it was a great learning curve. So I took that money and I literally sat down and said, so I can make this type of money from just doing this. And that was where I made the decision to go professional.
There was this portrait that I did of, I was going through Yaba, it was during the railroad. We're going on a photo walk with a few people, and I happened to find this guy inside the bush, and he was just by himself, and he was reading Barack Obama's book, Audacity of Hope. And I just saw him, and I was like, can I take a picture of you? I said, okay. And then I just pointed the light and I took a picture of him. I remember that image as being one of my favorite images because to me, it told the story of hope and possibilities. There was also a portrait of Goma that I took when I started photography. And I remember every single time that I'll go back and take pictures, but I'll just come back to her face and then I keep taking pictures. After I look at that image, I remember that that image reminded me that I love people. Another picture is a picture of where I took of my friend when I was in Yaba doing, military hospital, where I did makeup for her. I thought she was so beautiful. but she didn't think so. And then I did her makeup and then I took pictures of her. And when she saw it, she was so happy because she said that she had never believed that she was beautiful, that she actually grew up thinking she was ugly. And that picture made her see herself.
In terms of challenges that I had back then, the challenges were a lot actually. I mean, it goes without saying, photography is an expensive craft. Photography was not as revered back then as it is now, where you had, I mean, if you told someone you're a photographer, you just, it's photo, cameraman, that's what they will say. Sometimes I'm going in bus and I'm so tired, I'm dozing off in the bus. And there was one time I passed my bus stop and I had to trek all the way back because I couldn't afford to pay for another bus fare. Whenever I had jobs or prospects in Lagos, I'll travel all the way from Ibadan to Lagos, do the job. If I can't go back the same day, sometimes I'll call Aham, can I come and sleep in your house? So I was bunking with Aham for months. I mean, at some point, I tried getting an accommodation in Lagos, and the first thing that happened was I was swindled. Like, I paid for an apartment, and up till today, I have not seen my money, I have not seen the apartment. So it was tough.
I looked at works from German photographers, American photographers, British photographers, photographers from Singapore, China, all over the world. And then I soaked up a lot of these works, a lot of these ideas, a lot of these inspirations, and formed my own. So I'm known for this, I like to say my images, my pictures look green. That's because I'm known for my distinctive green canvas backdrops, my distinctive heavily color graded images that are usually or always teal.
Winning the TFESS award was a major high point because it came at a point where, you know, I was also not sure of whether I was going to continue as a photographer or not. In fact, I thought it was over. Getting my first studio in 2016 was great. It just made me realize, okay, yes, you now really have a business. Like, this thing is making sense.
After a couple of years, I was called upon to facilitate the TFESS workshop where I started photography. I won the Future Awards prize for photography. I won the Fashion Finest Photographer of the Year award. I think I've been nominated for it again for the second time or third time this year. I won TFESS in faraway Uganda, and I've been opportune to work with multinationals, currently Canon ambassador. Most importantly, I'm glad that I've been able to raise a family and sustain a family out of this craft. I'm also very excited and proud that in my 10 years, I've been able to produce, or I would say I've been opportuned to be able to enable and support the journey of other creatives and photographers. At least a few of them have passed through under my tutelage and will I say mentorship now, and they've gone on to be big names and successful photographers.
I looked at our landscape here and I said, the Nigerian photography landscape, and I said, nobody has written a photography book. Let me write one. And, you know, glory be to God, you know, I was the first photographer to, you know, write a photography book in Nigeria. And the Lord has been good. You know, we've sold out a couple of times, and it's been good.
So Sheung was my direct mentee, but before any specific selection, I had already shared my contacts with everyone. If whoever needed to reach out should reach out at any point in time. And I said to them, anything that they need to talk about, they should just feel free to call. And true to type, without too much prompting, they consistently made great strides in their individual styles and their individual genres.
Right from the beginning, you know, when we're having all these workshops, and I say, these chaps look like they're going to go far. A lot of times, you know, especially when you're starting off, there's that temptation to just copy blindly whatever you see. But what I noticed about these chaps is that there was always that attempt, you know, to try this other way and try to look a bit unique with their style. And over the years, I can see, you know, they've polished their individuality through their work, and it's just very recognizable.
My husband was the very first person that purchased all my gear for me. Yeah. My parents, my mom, my mom she's been very, 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 has played such an important role. I'm so grateful for the TFESS, you know, Red Media. They were very, very, very paramount to how my journey started. I'm grateful for Mona, who called me on that day. And, you know, I'm really grateful for Aham and Emmanuel because, you know, we started this thing together, and, you know, it's now more than just we're a photographer. We're almost like, they're like my brothers, because we're very intertwined into each other's life. You know, Aham, you know, Emmanuel shot my wedding, you know, Aham is married to my sister. I shot Emmanuel's wedding. So it was just, you know, I'm really grateful. I'm really grateful for them. Joko Tade, Posh Click, I'm really grateful for her, because Joko was one of the first female photographers that I saw, and I asked her, Joko, is this all you do? And she said, this is I'm a full-time photographer. Just hearing her say that made me realize that this is possible. I'm so grateful for T.Y. Bello, because T.Y. was also one of those people that I saw on TV that made me realize that it is possible to be a female photographer. I'm grateful for Mr. Isaac Umobai. You know, I call him my teacher, because indeed, he can teach. Mr. Kelechi Amadiobi was really, really, really pivotal to, you know, my journey as well as a photographer. You know, so many other photographers. Of course, I've talked about my team before now, but those guys are like my, yeah, I love them so much. They're major, yeah, to my journey before now and, you know, in the future, yeah.
My wife. My wife has been my greatest support system. My wife has been my strongest and my biggest support system. My mom, Emmanuel, Gaz, they've always been there for me.
Your art, your business thrives when there's someone that understands what needs to be done, and someone that enables you and gives you the chance to want to express yourself in the way you express, you're ready to express yourself. And that's what my wife has been. My other support systems will be my parents, my mentor, my teachers, even my colleagues growing up, both Aham, Toyin Ayegbo, Gaz Madu, Ayobami Makole, August Tudor. These are guys that we were in the trenches together. Toby Dada, Adeola Bade, he lent me my first camera ever. My uncle, Kende Oyeleke, for all his advice. My Canon family, Dr. Solomon, my first model ever, Olabisi Adeoshun. Even my clients, their support systems, because without their help in my business, I doubt I'll be where I am today. And last but not the least, my staff.
When I'm not taking pictures, I'm watching movies, or I'm chilling with my wife and my kids. They keep me. I have 2 boys. They keep me on my toes. My wife will answer this question and say, when I'm not doing anything photography, the thing that I do to unwind is research about photography.
What keeps me growing is the feeling that there's always more. There's always more to offer. Also, excellence keeps me going. I don't think I've offered every single thing I have to offer in photography terms. I feel like there's more to discover. There's more to do. And what keeps me going is inspiring the next generation of photographers, creatives, and storytellers. It's either you evolve or die.
Biggest lesson I've learned in the past 10 years of being a photographer is never underestimate the power and the importance of people.
To someone starting out today, be focused. Know why you're in this thing, in this career. The only way to get better is to practice. You can only get better by doing one thing over and over and over and over and over, and that's practicing. So the more you do something repetitively, the greater you get or become at it. So practice, find a mentor or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, and then pray.
I couldn't be much more proud. They are a living testament that indeed, we made the right decision with all these platforms we've created. They are a living testament to show that the young Nigerian, when given opportunity, will run with it and create, bread out of wheat. Will create even bread out of stone.
What I think has happened to the, industry as a result of these young talks, that's what I would call them, is that they've been able to prove that, there is no end to creativity. There's enough room for so many different styles, And so what they've done is that they've provided that kind of the army of image makers to inspire another army. It's this kind of rippling effect that happens. They've really, come into their own. I wish them the best. I wish them, prosperity. I wish, most of all, fulfillment.
And if you don't know, you should know. They have come to redefine creative art and photography in Africa for its new age, especially in the digital age. It's a wonderful thing, and it's a privilege to be associated with them.
At the beginning of the year, I knew that we were turning 10 years today, and I really just, I reached out to Aham and Emmanuel. I was like, yeah, you guys, do you remember that, this is 10 years for us? And they were like, oh, yeah. And we thought, okay, let's do something. We should do something. And to be honest, we didn't really think too much about it. We're just like, okay, what are we going to call this, right? It's something we're doing together, and it's marking our 10 years. And we just said, okay, Project X, and then we put a collective around it.
She's just an amazing person as a photographer and as an individual. She's not someone that wants to settle. When she sets something and she achieves that part, she wants to go for something higher. So it's been a proud moment. It's been great watching her, seeing her grow, and we just keep pushing for more. And 10 years down the line, you can see she's actually one of the leading photographers in Nigeria, and that actually makes me smile,
So the idea for this initiative was to inspire the photographers coming after us to do more, to come together more, and do whatever it is with the aim of projecting the Nigerian industry, the Nigerian photography industry, the way that it should be projected. And do projects, common projects, if you will.
I'm proud of Aham. I've seen him journey through these 10 years. I've seen the work he has put in. I've seen the dedication. I literally share Aham with photography. So I'm not even mad that he's the genius that he is today. He has been very inspirational to me, because seeing him work hard as he does makes me work hard, and I'm a proud wife and his boys are proud of him.
the easiest part of putting together Project X was coming up with the idea. The execution, everything after coming up with the idea was just, I think at some point we had to even say, who sent us to do Project X? Because I mean, it was getting bigger and bigger every day, much more than what we thought. We had to fund some of this by ourselves. We got some help from our sponsors, our gracious sponsors. People rallied around to help. We had good hands on deck in terms of running the project. We had a good project coordinator, which made things easier. It would have been a lot harder if we were trying to run this by ourselves. It wouldn't actually work. It wouldn't be possible.
He is one of the best people I know. He is very dedicated to this craft. He knows what he's doing. He is talented. He is an amazing husband, a father, and everything else. I can't really wait for the next decade to come because I know that it's going to be filled with so many accomplishments and so many amazing stuff.
We're here. It's a week-long activity where we're gonna, we're having the private opening of our works. Two of us. This is our first time exhibiting, Aham and I. We're also having the opening event. We're gonna have other photographers. We're gonna have people that we invited. We're going to use that as an opportunity again to learn from veterans. We're also having a workshop for photographers where we're going to be teaching, and then the exhibition is also going to be open up until the end. That's essentially what Project S is about.
I'm just wishing them the best, saying congratulations to my husband, my sister. I love you guys so much. Emmanuel, Oga Emma, I'm rooting for you guys. Bye.